Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 240. I'm Eric Berger, joined. I can't start over. Joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snitsky. Hi.
Yeah, hi.
It's one of those days. Hi.
Yeah, it was my second 30th birthday.
Oh God. I had a company party. You had a birthday. We're alive.
I found out, so my friend Ice, she's like, I used to like go out to like heavy metal shows and stuff with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always like, we would drink a lot there, and I like don't anymore. Like pretty much the extent of my drinking is having a beer with you on this podcast, and then like maybe one on like a Wednesday or something. Ice, on the other hand, like is just like taking shots of whiskey like regularly and like going out partying like all the time still. She's like older than me. She's like 33. I don't get how she does this.
I cannot hold my liquor.
No.
So
Yeah, she gave me like a solitary shot of Jameson. I had 2 beers, and that gave me a hangover. So now I have a hangover. That's fun.
You were telling me you found like the new floor.
That was my floor. It's the minimum I've ever had to drink to have a hangover. So that's great. I even drink water. I think it's just the fact that it's Jameson. My body just like rejects cheap liquor.
Jameson's not that bad, but I could see that being like a gut rot, brain rot type of thing.
Yeah, it was a problem.
I just realized when we were starting, I didn't even check the cameras, so those weren't working, but now they are. So.
Well, now they're here. Hello.
Yay! So Twitch people won't be quite as upset with us. Yeah, no, I found out at the company party, A, it was on a weekend, which is just dumb. B, no open bar. C, it's almost a month after Christmas. Like,
Company parties, there's never a good time for them.
Well, normally I do enjoy them, but it's usually like right after work on a Friday. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Even then, like, there's never a good time for it, because you always have to put something else aside. Like, don't get me wrong, I like going to them. But there's never like a good time. It's like a family event. Like there's never a time in which yes, this is a great time for a family event.
I guess
the closest thing to a good time for a family event is like Thanksgiving. Even then, I'm like now I have to leave my house.
Well, that's been on the that's on a regular calendar with no other. I mean, every calendar has got Thanksgiving.
And even then, I'm still sitting. Man, I could just be in my house, but now I'm here, not in my house.
I mean, why would you want to celebrate Thanksgiving anyway? I mean, what that's based on is
it's not
genocide.
It's also vaguely Jen's birthday.
Oh, perfect.
Because it usually happens around her birthday.
Vaguely Jana's birthday.
Well, it's last Thursday in November, and she's November 25th, so it's vaguely her birthday.
That is quite close.
Yeah, so it's pretty much her birthday party.
I concede that is very close.
All right, well, did we do Patreon? No, we didn't.
No,
Let's do Patreon.
We haven't done Patreon or beer. Patreon.com/Carbitrage. On this fancy schmancy little webpage that I've spent almost no time on at all, you'll find 2 open-ended levels of support for content consumers like you to support content creators like
curmudgeons.
I'm not doing well
curmudgeons.
Today. Content curmudgeons like us. That's way better than creators.
That's actually what we are, really.
Way more accurate.
I spent most of the time before we were recording complaining about how much I don't like being around car people. So yeah, that's fair.
No, I was lamenting engineers all morning, and I'll talk about that in 241. But anyway, patreon.com/Carbitrage. Thank you very much. Right. Moving on to drinks, you have coffee.
I have coffee.
We've just described from last night. That is probably a wise move.
Yeah, no, you asked me if I wanted a beer, and I said, I don't know, dude. I'm really considering a 12-step.
The way you presented it earlier was arguably even better, but I don't remember it. So, I've got a Silver Bullet Tall Boy. There's a Hams and a koozie in case Ryan changes his mind. But
yeah, it's not happening.
I started my day with McDonald's coffee because I've been up since 7 on a Saturday or Sunday.
I tried to get up early because like Trig had like a gun show you want me to go to,
of course.
And I'm like, oh man, that sounds really cool. Like I want to go to that. That sounds great.
Yeah, but we know you, Ryan.
Yeah, and you know what happened?
There's no you getting out of bed.
It started at 9 a.m., which is like this is a time I can get to. Yes, this is good. And so like I woke up at 8, and I'm like, I woke up and like I had a pounding headache. I'm like, nope.
Close the windows again. Go back to bed.
Put on my sunglasses. Go to bed.
Yep. I always get concerned when the cats come up on my bed and start wanting pets. I'm like, oh no, that means it's later than I want it to be. But they did that this morning. It was like 5:45. I'm like, get away from me.
Lucy does that like every morning because he knows what time I wake up, and so like he goes like into my bed when I'm going to wake up.
Yeah.
And because I'm pretty sure he uses the light rail as a clock, because he hangs out in his room, he watches the light rail go by, and he loves it. He loves watching people fight and stuff. Like it's great.
Little do you know he's got money riding on those
fights. I know, right?
Yeah, kick his ass, Seabass.
He's got a little computer in there.
Unibookie.net.
Yeah, exactly. But he, every morning he comes in about 9:30, and he hops up on top of me.
Good boy.
And he like starts purring and making biscuits on me, and then
Buddy.
he sits down and he just loafs on top of me until I wake up. It's very cute. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
And if I'm not laying on my back, then I'll usually be like laying on my side, and then he uses my legs as a chair and he sits upright.
I'm a human.
Yeah, exactly.
I must make like some noise just as I'm about to wake up because Jada knows. Modi just spends the whole night by me, but Jada will always show up right when I'm about to get out
That's
of bed.
adorable. That's wonderful.
And she'll trap me in with the covers. Until
These are quite good roommates that you have.
Yeah, no, these are way better than any other roommate
Than
I've had
humans,
so far.
yes.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get on to the first topic. Neither here nor there.
Speaking of fuzzy friends,
Yes.
we have a listener who's actually a new listener here.
Hey.
And is a old friend of mine.
Welcome, listener.
His name is Nick. He's from I want to say Detroit. That's not correct at all. He's from Duluth. And he, although does not have a cat, he's got a dog. But don't worry, it falls within the acceptable range of dogs where you either get a corgi or you need to have a horse of a dog. And he's got a Saint Bernard. And look at his adorable Saint Bernard puppy. It's very
like
fuzzy.
it when it's huge.
Yeah, it's very
and has
fuzzy.
a casque around his neck.
Yeah, and so he's going to get massive. So Nick needs to get a new car.
Oh God. I think he needs a bus.
Yeah, well, pretty much. This is what makes it difficult because he's got a Saint Bernard that
Right.
needs to comfortably fit in the car. We know that a Saint Bernard will fit in a Fiat 500, but not comfortably.
We've seen it on the top
Yes,
here.
we've seen it. It's not happy. So what he does need is he needs a manual, and he needs all-wheel drive. Reason being,
Honda Element.
we're getting there. He actually does legitimately need all-wheel drive because he lives like up north. The roads aren't regularly plowed where his house is.
Minimum maintenance.
Yeah, and he's got like a dirt driveway, so it's like getting stuck and stuff is like a real life problem for him. And like, it's not just like because snow tires; it's because you need 4 wheels of traction, not just 2. Because if the 2 wheels are in the mud,
Sounds like he needs ground clearance more than anything else.
he needs a real vehicle. So his price range is $12,000. He's currently considering a Legacy GT wagon. He's open to other options. I told him no as well.
Element. You can get the world's nicest manual EXL or XP.
So I was
Element.
thinking that, and actually, Elements you get into a weird, like, gray area because they're very, very good, sub $9,000. And then there's like this like gray area where it's like you don't get much car for the dollar between $12,000 and like $30,000, and then you
Right.
have flawless ones. So you have like 200,000 mile example ones, or you have like very, very good ones.
Yep.
The ones that are between like 40 and like 160,000 miles are like not cared for.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I have
They're
worked on 2 of those, and they
Yes.
needed everything.
They're either perfect or they're like completely clapped.
The only difference between a $3,500 Element and a $10,000 Element is how up to date the service is.
Yeah, and that's literally the difference.
And
So.
yeah, up from 10 to 40, it's just mileage. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. Yeah, and so that's the thing is like I thought about an Element, but in the 12K range, I can get something a little bit better than an Element. So I found 2 options on TrueCar.com. I found a manual all-wheel drive Jeep Renegade. I have a link to
Cool.
it.
Yeah, let me
right
open it up
there.
here.
I think this like legitimately would be a perfect car.
Oh, that's a good price for a Renegade manual, actually.
Yeah, it's 11.9, and it's like I can't remember where it is. So it's in like a southern state as well, so you don't have to worry about like any rusted bolts or anything.
And it's got 13 grand in the windshield, so you know they can't sell it because it's a stick.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
I'm so happy people bought these.
yeah, and it's a color. It's orange, like
Yep.
it's a real life color.
The only manuals I've ever seen have been orange and this spec.
Yeah, there's 3 of them on TrueCar, and they're all exactly this. Oh, sorry, there's a white one. And the white one I would not get because it's not a color. But
Yeah.
I forgot where town this is in. It doesn't say. Oh, North Carolina.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not like in a northern state where it's like it's a Fiat really. So
Yep.
you don't have to worry about rusting. You do have to worry about hardware getting stuck though. That's a thing because Fiat doesn't make every bolt that they put on the car, but they make the car itself. So you don't have to worry about the car rusting. You just have to worry about bolts breaking.
Yeah, I mean at least it should be factory undercoated since it's a Fiat.
And this is actually one of the lower mile ones I found because the manual Renegades, like they're usually in like this price range at like double the mileage, and it says 112K on it. And so Nick was. I mentioned this to him. He was a little worried because it was a Fiat, and he's like, I don't want Fiat maintenance. I told him like,
it's the most reliable engine in the entire world.
Yeah, I told him between you and me, like
we've put like 300,000 miles on the 1.4T between us.
Yeah, and I've done. I need to do struts, and then I had to fix my brakes once, and that was it.
Yeah, I did have
and
to
those
do
are mileage maintenance items.
a rear caliper on one of my 500s.
Yeah, that's it.
The engine was always spot on. Even the one in my 124, which is now tuned, is still spot on.
To be fair, you did have one that grenaded a transmission, but it was not the car's fault. That's because the driver at the time shifted it.
No, it was the Fiat was because the dealer, Scott, sued Fiat Chrysler.
No, I was talking about the one when Aaron was driving it, and he money shifted it from 5th to 3rd. When he was, from 4th to 3rd instead of 5th. And he just shredded the transmission, the red one, when he was still living with you. He fucked up the tranny when he was borrowing it.
I think that wasn't Aaron. That was
Was it not
Jamie.
Aaron? That was Jamie. I was blaming Aaron for that. In my head,
Jamie Gale rented the car for me and never paid. But yeah, she did damage to the trans, but not entirely her fault. The axle seal was damaged when FCA did the front suspension on it, and it ran low on oil.
Okay.
So
that's what it was. So again, not the car's fault.
Nope.
So very reliable vehicle.
That's shown because the transmission I bought was $75.
Actually, yesterday I did break the armrest in my Fiat too.
You have a pre-14?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, 14. The armrest got a lot better.
I'm very annoyed.
But mechanically,
you know why I broke my armrest? Because Jana got in the back seat, and didn't close the door, and it was windy and cold. And I tried to close the door, and my hand slipped, and I fell back and bent the armrest and broke it in half.
Damn it.
And I was like, thanks, Shannon. Happy birthday to me.
But anyway, no, the 1.4 is a great engine.
Yeah, no, these are awesome. And even the 2.4s are...
They're fine.
Yeah,
those are Chrysler engines.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, like, the 2.4 is not a problem child.
No.
But yeah, this is a 1.4. You can have, like, fun with it. And, like, if Nick wanted to, like, if he got wild hairy and wanted to make his daily driver, like, really cool, they make coilovers for these. You can raise or lower them. You can put on exhausts and tuning components from Fiat 500 Abarths and sport turbos and stuff. So there's, like, stuff you can do with it. You're not just stuck with a weirdo one-off car. So, yeah, this is definitely a good one. The other one I found was mostly because it is such a unicorn. I didn't even know you could get this vehicle in this spec.
Let me open up the link
It's
here.
a Toyota RAV4.
Okay.
Four-wheel drive manual. First generation as well.
Too old.
Yeah, no, exactly. The Renegade's the correct answer. But
It was older than an Element. I would take an Element over this.
But this is cool as hell, though. I didn't know you could get a manual four-wheel drive first-gen RAV4. I knew you could get a manual.
I did know you could get one in a four-door.
Yeah, I just didn't know you could get it with all-wheel drive, because every time I've seen a manual that's been front-wheel drive.
I think Dirt Every Day took a two-wheel drive 4x4 manual apart.
Oh, cool.
For a project.
Yeah.
This is really clean.
Yeah, it's got center locking, like the center differential locks. Like, it's really
cool. So it's
cool.
actually four-wheel drive?
Yeah, it's like a real four-wheel drive, like actual truck. It's really rad. So,
so this has the 3SFE. I mean, yeah, it would be okay.
That'd be a really cool truck.
They're so slow.
No, they're not fast, but if Nick wanted to take that down to like a Radwood event or something, he could for like a year until it rusts in half.
Yeah, but buy the Renegade. If not, get an Element.
I think the Renegade is the best option. Or if you can find a reasonable Element that's not either $5,000 or $50,000.
Yeah, if you can find one that's high miles but has like a record of all of the suspension and like a drive shaft being done, you're good.
Yeah.
Because like the interior holds up really, really well.
And I told him like, if manual is not a requirement, like if he was dead set on Subaru for whatever reason, I told him if you make that mistake, get a flat six automatic.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah.
Because you're better off getting automatic in a flat six than you are EJ with a manual, because it's
going to last longer. The 4 EAT with the like an Easy 30 is way more reliable.
They actually sound really cool when you put exhaust on them. They kind of sound like a Porsche. So
they do.
They sound like a 996. So.
They even have like the fan noise, even though there's no fan.
Yeah, they make the fan noise and everything. They kind of sound. Well, yeah, because they have electric fan that's on all the time. It's the same radiator that they put in the 4 cylinders, and now it's a 6 extra like liter of like
the clutch
displacement.
fan's just like I
Yeah,
gotta stay on, bro.
The fan's just on at all times. So yeah, that's a good point. It does make the fan noise like a Porsche. So I think I would go Jeep Renegade, Element. If you had to get a Subaru, forgo the manual and get the automatic flat 6.
I would recommend an all-track manual before I would recommend a Subaru Auto, but
An all-track manual?
yeah.
Which all-track? There's so many all-tracks.
No, the one that was just called an all-track, the one that ended like a year ago from Volkswagen, the Golf. I think.
Okay, he actually mentioned that. He mentioned he would like a diesel all-track, but you couldn't get a diesel all-track in America.
Yeah, you can get
You're
a Mark
stuck
6 wagon,
You're
but
stuck with a 1.8T. Then the new 1.8T, not the real 1.8T.
right. But the new 180 doesn't seem to have quite as many catastrophic issues
This
as
is
the
the
2.0.
thing, is the 2.0 also is a horrible nightmare. So, like, anything's better than a 2.0.
Yeah.
It's like saying,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
it's like Chrysler in, like, 1991 saying, we've made more power. And it's like, cool.
Our
The-
new V6,
Our,
which
like,
doesn't have as many
the,
problems.
like, cool, the 318 cubic inch V8 now makes 150 horsepower instead of 145. Like, you have such a low bar for reliability compared to 2.0T.
Let's cut that bad
that,
boy in
like,
half and make a
the-
4-cylinder.
The new 1.8T would be like, even then, like when I was working at Good Karma, I was still seeing that, like they were beginning to come in.
Yeah.
We were beginning to see weird problems, and I was
Yeah.
like, so
I feel like the 1.8T, the new one's got like just plastic part issues. Yeah, like that first gen teething plastic part issue. So mechanically, it might be okay with a stick. Like Nolan has one, and he's got a bunch of miles on his now. He's not had any mechanical issues, but like you have to really maintain them.
no, I mean there are people in the world that have 2.0Ts that are reliable, but
My boss's wife is one of them. Every time I get in that Q5, I'm like, this thing's just gonna blow up. It's got like 90,000 miles on it now. I'm like,
it's getting to that point.
yeah.
But that's the thing is like, just because one person did it, don't
it's
gamble.
not a microcosm.
Yeah, don't assume that you're going to have that same experience.
Right.
You're going to have a bad experience.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, like VR6s were cool in like the 2000s because like they weren't at 200,000 miles and spitting out timing chains that are like sandwiched between the transmission and engine.
Mm-hmm.
Like now VR6s are no longer cool, and like really the last time Volkswagen made a half decent engine was over 10 years ago.
The 3.0T is decent. It's pretty good.
There is a plastic coolant pipe that goes underneath the intake manifold that separates the O-ring because the coolant pipe expands faster than the engine.
Because it's a different material.
Yes, and it pinches the O-ring.
And there's no heat up top, right? I mean, the supercharger doesn't make any heat.
No, none at all. And then you will have enough coolant in there. I've actually seen it short out a fuel injector.
Oh no!
I've seen him puddle that much coolant in there.
Weird how
that-
electrolyte is conductive.
Yeah.
Who knew?
So, yeah, I wouldn't say the 3.0T is that great. It's fine. It's fine per Audi standards.
Again, we're talking about the difference between like the 1.8T and the 2.0T.
Yeah, we're like you're still like
The best engine they've made in the last 20 years.
is still like meh. That's like
Yeah.
Volkswagen getting like 5 out of 10. It's like a kid that's on academic like probation getting a C, and he's like, "Oh my god, I can breathe again."
That was me.
Yeah, it's me too. Like I can breathe again. This is great. Like so, yeah, definitely Jeep Renegade. That would be my top tip.
I will take the Renegade over everything I came up with. So, have you spent any time on YouTube in the last week?
I spent a lot of time watching Unreal tutorials on YouTube.
Okay. Did you get any recommendations for a Gordon Murray vehicle?
I didn't on YouTube, but I saw it somewhere. It got shared to me. And I mentioned it. Maybe Balto showed it to me. And I mentioned how everything that's remotely related to McLaren has the most uninspired design I've ever seen in my life.
And okay, so these showed up in my recommendations. I'm in agreement. These showed up in my recommendations just countless times. So I think there was an embargo
That
that
almost
just
looks
lifted.
cool, actually. Even that looks like it looks like a Tommy Mikan and ZZ2.
The side profile does. The front has a little
Or
bit
no,
of
sorry,
mirror
not
to
Tommy,
it.
not Tommy Mikan, Tommy Kyra.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what a Mikanen is, but yeah,
Tommy
Kyra.
Mikanen was a Finnish rally driver.
So this car has some interesting.
That's kind of cool. So, and what are we looking at here?
Okay.
It's the Gordon Murray Automotive T33.
Yep. So 2 years ago,
What is that?
he actually it was last year. We talked about the T50, his like McLaren F1 successor. He did everything the best that he could at the time, but this was '92 versus 2021. So That car is and always will be his Halo, apparently. But this is essentially a slightly retuned. When the interviewer said detuned, he corrected them and said retuned. It's designed to make a little more low-end torque. It doesn't rev quite as high, so this only revs to 11,100 RPM instead of 12,100 RPM. But it uses essentially the same Cosworth 4-liter V12. Manual transmission, but it does have an option for an X-Track pre-selection paddle box, which sounds odd. Yeah, I need to look into exactly. It said it's electro-hydraulic pre-selection. I'm like, okay, so you have a 1964 Porsche 911 auto box in there.
As to say, a Renault Gardini 8 ferromagnetic clutch.
What year was that?
1965.
Shoot.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the T33, it's a two-seater. It's not a three abreast like the McLaren F1 or the T50, so it's a little bit more conventional. But to your point, like every time we see one of these, it's in silver, and it just kind of looks boring because that's what Aero looks
like. This is the most exciting one I've ever seen. This is like of all of his vehicles he's made, McLaren F1 included. I will go as far as to say that this is probably the most exciting one I've ever seen, because I grew up playing like Tokyo Extreme Racer and like Gran Turismo, like PlayStation 2 era like racing games. And if you could just Control T and Google the Tommy Kaira, Kaira, ZZ2.
I definitely use that in one of the Gran Turismos. I think the side profile is very similar.
It reminds me a lot of a ZZ2. Like a ZZ2 would like easily fit. Like it's kind of like crossing a ZZ2 and a ZZ1, but it looks like one of the Tommy Kaira like one-off cars. Well, not really one-off, but one of the Tommy Kaira cars.
The greenhouse and the roof, yeah. I get updated Mira on the front, and I get XJ220 in the back.
Yeah, the XJ220 rear end. Yeah, I mean it's cool. I like it. Like I'm not mad about the car. Like of all of the things that that's been related to the word McLaren in the last 30 years, this is probably the most aesthetically pleasing one I've seen.
And the biggest credit I can give him, the T50 was manual only. This is manual with the option of an auto, but they've pre-sold over 50% of the cars at this point, which is 150 units. Guess what the percentage of take rate is between the two transmissions?
Manual 100%.
Not quite, but very close. They had 3 automatic orders.
Good.
Yeah, and I hope that they end at that point. He had mentioned like
actually I want him to have automatics. I want the automatics to like plummet in value like Corvette style. I want to be worthless, just absolutely worthless.
But you know those are going to be more expensive because the people that really want one, you're going to be searching for 6 cars instead of 300.
Yeah, no, it's still going to be a manual.
But you have to get the stick.
Rarity does not mean desirability.
Right.
Like
yeah, just because it's rare does not mean it's valuable.
My 86 Subaru GL10 is rare. It's not desirable yet. We'll get to the next story. I'll tell you about it. But
oh man,
just because it's rare does not mean it's good. Like, but I think that it's good that it's got a manual option though. That's
well,
cool.
I mean, manual standard, and that auto is, I believe, a cost option. But yeah, just you gotta get the stick. I mean, it's the same X-Track 6-speed that's in the T50. This is $1 million less expensive. This is only $1.37 million.
I thought you were being facetious.
No.
No, you're being.
That was literal.
It's literally $1 million cheaper.
Correct.
Yeah.
Less expensive. I'm not gonna say cheaper, but
I would say cheaper.
It's just fascinating. I mean, they talk about the development of the engine with Cosworth. And
does it have like vinyl seats instead of leather? Because it's
I hope so.
Because it's $1 million cheaper.
Yeah, I can't even remember what he said when they like, oh, well, how have you cut the cost that much? And he basically just said, we just front loaded all the cost to the T50 owners.
Yeah,
and it's like, they're probably fine with it.
Yeah, they are. Well, I mean, if you're spending money on T50, like, money's not a problem.
Right. Yeah, $2.5 million for a car that sold out in 48 hours. You're not going to be thinking about it.
Yeah, no. So, speaking of my cool old super wagon, Tommy Pastrami made a cool super wagon.
Oh my goodness.
By Tommy Pastrami, I mean Travis Pastrana.
Well, yeah.
Tommy,
I knew what you were talking about.
Well, for some of our newer listeners, I used to work at Subaru, and Travis Pastrana did a meet and greet at our dealership.
Yep, I was there.
And I had convinced the used car manager, his name was Tommy Pastrami, because he had no idea who the hell Travis Pastrana was. Which I think is hilarious. As a Subaru used car dealer manager, I had no idea who Travis Pastrana was. And he's kind of like a dickhead, so I'm like, cool, I really want to publicly embarrass this guy. So he comes out and he's like super like used car manager friendly to Travis Pastrana, and he calls him Tommy Pastrami the whole time.
I love that.
It's
And I hope
amazing.
Travis was okay with it too.
He was just like, he was very, what the fuck?
He probably had a name tag that said Travis P too. I can't remember at the time.
He
but-
didn't, but it was like, it was obviously, he had a shirt that had his name on it.
What was his co-driver that was there too?
I can't remember.
Shoot. I liked him too. But yeah, no, I went to that meet and greet.
But, yeah, so,
Pastrami.
yeah, we called him Tommy Pastrami. But anyway, so he does his whole Gymkhana thing, because Ken Block is like an old man now and can't turn a car. And so Travis Pastrana is, well, I guess he just has a skeleton that's entirely made of metal at this point. Because, like, watching him move around, he moves around like an old man, because, like, every bone in his body's been broken before. Like, that's why he moved to cars instead of, like, dirt bike racing. Because, like, he had nothing left to break. But, yeah, no, so he chose that EA81 Subaru GL as his new Gymkhana car, which is, like, cool as hell.
That's an odd choice, but I do like it.
It's super cool. I love that the paint job that they chose is reminiscent to the old Subaru.
Yeah, I'm bummed that one's in the background. It's hard to see it.
That's the Subaru Olympics version that they had. So it was a special edition that was like in era that he did like a homage to. And this car was built by Hoonigan. This is probably the least cringy Hoonigan car ever made.
Mm-hmm.
It's super cool. It is not plastered with Monster Energy logos, which is kind of cool.
I don't even see any.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
That's a wrap.
But I would say that the one thing that gets me on this car is it is 5x100, which does make him a prick.
Does that mean it's based on an 04 STI?
I have no idea. But
think that was
there was an ongoing discussion on if that PCD, it might be 5x114, but it looks dangerously close to 5x100. And if it's 5x100, that means he's a prick. Because there's, you know how BMW people have different camps? Like, you have classic BMW owners.
Yeah, you got O2 owners, you've got N54 owners.
Yeah, and then you have, like,
got,
modern, like
collector M car owners.
yeah, and you have, like,
pretty much it.
yeah, and that's, like, kind of what you have. And then you have, like, the drifty boys that, like, have, like,
Oh, yeah, E36s. Yep.
Like, you have the different camps of BMW people.
The people that you
So-
never meet, even though you have the same car.
Subaru people are like even more diametrically opposed. So you have 4x140 owners, and then you go by leg pattern, because Subaru had like 2 leg patterns their entire like history.
No, they've had at least 3.
No, they have had 3, because they had 4x140, and then they had 5x100, and then they had the
5x14.3.
nope. That was
5x112?
that was actually only on the STI. So I just
2 years of STI.
You lump that into 5x100 because it's basically the same people. What was the leg pattern on the air-cooled ones? Anyway, you have the air-cooled cars. So, you basically...
It's like the 360?
Yeah. It was like a really ridiculous, like, leg pattern.
There's
They basically bolted to the outside of the drum, kind of like on a Volkswagen.
yeah. The Fat 5, whatever they
Yeah.
called it on the...
A wide 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically a miniature wide 5. But with classic Subaru owners, like, the 4x140 people call anybody that's with a 5x100 car a prick. Even if it's a Subaru XT6, which is effectively a 4x140 car. If you own an XT6, you're close enough to a legacy owner that you're a prick. Because they are. Like, most Subaru owners, like, most people own Bug-Eye STIs are pricks.
Is a Bug-Eye 5x100?
Yeah. Every Subaru that has a 5-leg pattern, with the exception of, like, the new couple of years of STI, have been 5x100.
The Blob Eyes,
5x100.
except for 04, were not 5x100.
Yes, they were. Except for the STI. The STI is when they changed it.
Right. The STI from
But-
05 and up was a different bolt pattern.
Yep. But the WRX...
There's 2 camps there, though.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Because if you talk to a classic Subaru owner versus one of those people, those people are basically the same kind of prick.
I understand.
That
But like
one
the
has
old,
slightly more money.
The 4x140 people hate the 5x100 people.
Yes.
But the 5x100 people hate the 4x140 people and the 5x114.3 people.
Yeah, they all hate each other. Everybody hates the 5x100 people because they're just the worst.
That's right.
But the 4x140 people are the best because they're basically just like Australian rednecks.
Nice.
And they're absolutely wonderful. Every single person's great. They like
Are they like Gerald from from the Clarkson's farm?
yes, like you're not wrong. Like it's literally what they're absolutely wonderful. Like they're the sort of people they're the sort of people that like restore pubs. Like they're the people that buy a pub and restore
Is it James May?
He would imagine James May but like in a Mad Max universe. And that's what you get.
Oh, Lord.
That's what you get. You get James, like Mad Maxy version of James May, and that's classic Subaru people.
I don't know if I like James Max.
But yeah, they were absolutely wonderful. I will tell you that every birthday I've had since my 23rd, the very first person to tell me happy birthday was this guy named Gerard, who lives in Australia, and he collects EA71s.
Oh, he's damaged goods.
He collects EA71s and Hillman Imps. It's a really good...
How single is this man?
He's married.
Oh, my God. It's just... Every time I see somebody like that on the internet, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah, he's doing great.
Oh, my God, there's so many woof-woofs outside.
There are a bunch of boofers.
There's 4!
There's 4 whole boofers outside.
Wow.
That one's peeing and... Oh, he's pooping.
That one in the back looks really old because he's doing a not strong walk.
These are weird looking dogs.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan.
But yeah, he works on like giant container ship engines.
Oh, Corey would love that.
Yeah, very cool actually. And actually, one of the ships, the MV Goliath, was the one that he used to work on. And it had a problem in Tasmania where it crashed into a tug, and then crashed that tug into another tug, and then sank both of them. And it had a scratch, and that was it.
Was it piloted by that Italian guy that ran that cruise ship into the ground?
No, but it was like a comical problem. If you just like, if you Google like MV Goliath, if you're a listener, just like Google MV Goliath accident, and you'll see it happened on like Friday. It was very funny.
Oh, recent.
Yeah, like it just happened. It looks like somebody like shot a cannon into this tugboat because it was a giant container ship. Just like full tilt, just like smashed into it while like piloting to like.
It could be going 1 mile an hour. It'll still destroy that thing.
Yes,
it's like
exactly.
hydraulic press channel.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. It was going, I think, like 2 or 3. It's just like it was chooching, and it just destroyed.
Hello, and today we're going to be crashing tugboat with the MV Goliath. So here we go.
It's exactly like that.
If I could get the permission from the video owner and hydraulic press channel to make that dub, I would.
That'd be
that would be excellent.
That'd be great.
That'd be excellent. Because I guarantee the whole thing's on video.
Well, I'm sure it is. Yeah, because they have videos like in every
accident.
boat. Yeah, it's very funny.
The dash cam in the tugboat just listing lazily
and
to
then
the right.
Water starts rising. Luckily, if you are wondering, one of the tugboats is for sure savable.
Oh, that's good.
And the other one, once they pull it out of the water, might be savable.
What a ridiculous thing.
I know, right? But luckily, the good thing about boats, unlike cars, when they get hit, they usually just go down.
True.
So they don't take a ton of damage, and most of the damage was to the cab.
Path of least resistance.
Yeah, exactly. So there we go.
Well, speaking of other absolutely hilarious things that make you want to shake your head that happened recently.
Yes.
The Hyundai Santa Fe.
Yes.
Not something I would normally talk about because it's a CUV, but
It's not as good as the Santa Cruz.
that is also correct. Kind of out of left field, so my brain is having trouble processing, but
Carry on.
this vehicle is one of the many modern vehicles of, we'll say, the last 10 years that has replaced the physical gauge cluster, which is awesome, with a terrible LCD. However, this is kind of great because there's a software bug where the entire display will soft rotate 180 degrees, so your gauges are upside down.
That's a Hyundai problem.
And apparently this is happening an awful lot. So you get to learn this is a great cognitive training
is this
session.
for when they're in Australia?
These cars are under protest because they thought they were shipping to Australia.
Yeah, they came to America.
But I really, really like that. I mean, this just one piece of code that just got ignored by the system.
This is also such a Hyundai thing because Hyundai, like Subaru, you know how like Subaru just has like catastrophic problems. Like they have the same 2 catastrophic problems, and like Volkswagen has like actually catastrophic problems quite literally everywhere, and they don't give a shit.
Yep.
Hyundai survives entirely off of doing soft recalls and non-safety related recalls that don't show up on your Carfax.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if you have safety recall on like a Hyundai Sonata, you have like 2 recalls. If you look up recall on a Hyundai Sonata, there's literally dozens.
I believe it, and like the only one I really know is the GDI engine with the delamination stuff.
Oh no, that's like a major one. No, it's for like the little chrome trim piece on the shifter handles will delaminate, and it'll be sharp and it'll lacerate your hand.
Oh, that sounds poor.
Yeah, it's poorly. And then they would have things where the radio, instead of going up 1 volume notch every time you click the knob, it would go up 10. That was one that happened
Excellent.
on Kia Souls when I was working there.
Is that a poor quality encoder?
Nope, it was just a software issue.
Ah.
Yes, it was a weird software bug, so
Great.
I'm not surprised by this.
This also appears to be a weird software bug.
Because if you also have like an old, because anyone who bought old Kia Souls or boomers, and
Yeah.
they wouldn't feel the notch. They wouldn't care to think about that.
They sit and spin.
They'd sit and spin, and they'd max out their stereo and go, "Oh my god, this is so loud."
They should just like soft limit the volume up to like 60%. Like your hearing aids will take up the
Yeah,
slack.
you'll be
trust
fine.
me.
Don't worry.
But I kind of wish something like, I mean, when my car has a tech failure, my Model S, it's just tragic.
Yeah, no, this is
But
entertaining.
this is fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what you get with like Hyundai. If you want like entertaining software bugs, like Hyundai is your brand. So
Like you can still see all of the data, and your brain is going to get stronger because it's being forced to do something that isn't normal.
yeah, that's good. This is
This is
keep
a
you.
good-
This is going to keep you from having Alzheimer's.
This will increase your IQ, so you won't buy another CUV.
Yeah, this will make you smarter. All right. Well, speaking of smart people build cool things,
They do.
and they
sometimes.
sometimes are insurance agents. And there's an insurance agent in the 1950s that we talked about named Bob Hirohata. And Bob Hirohata had a very cool Mercury.
He did.
Arguably the single coolest American piece of automotive anything ever created, period.
Certainly the coolest American custom car.
Yeah. I would say this is probably the single greatest automotive creation to have ever come from the North American continent. And I genuinely don't think anybody can dispute that, because I cannot think of another American thing that's anywhere near as cool as the Hirohata Mercury.
Yeah, I don't think
There's
I
like
can
a couple of European cars that are like, this is pretty cool. But like as far
There's
as
some
things,
French stuff that give this a run for its money, but
yeah, and it's like, but like nothing in America. So yeah, the Hirohata Mercury sold. We were talking about it,
Yeah.
I think last episode we talked about it.
it was a couple episodes.
Yeah, it's a couple episodes. Well, we recorded it last time we were recording, so this is your last episode or episode before that. We could easily just Control F and type in Hirohata on the notes, but we're not going to do that.
Nah.
Because then you'll
Everyone's
listen-
used to us at this
Yeah,
point.
you can just listen to the other episodes. It finally sold for a staggering $2.145 million after auction fees.
I was gonna say I thought it sold for 1.95.
And then you do the math on the auction fees, and it's 2.145.
Well, I can't afford that. So
No, nobody can. Well, except for this one guy.
yeah, as I understand, he owns a Ford dealer in California, and he's bought a bunch of other one-offs like the I forget the name of the guy, but he made like those fiberglass bass boat paint like bubble cars that were like looked like they were out of comic books. And a couple of those were in like museums in Mexico,
Like
and stuff
George
like that.
Barris?
But yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. I don't know. Especially today, you're not going to get a clear answer out of me.
No, that's
but
fair.
That guy has a track record of buying one-offs that were not well cared for.
Wow.
And
He did have a bunch of cool shit.
yeah, so this is a dude. So I'm glad he's ended
He
up with this car.
also owns the GM Futureliner. The 1954 Oldsmobile F88 concept car, which, if you don't know what that is, look at it. It's the coolest C1 Corvette you've ever seen. It was a C1 Corvette with a Oldsmobile V8, which was, at the time, in 19...
Should have been a straight 8.
Well, in 19...
Hey, look, it's a Generation 1 XLR.
Pretty much, yeah. That's exactly what that is. But in 1954, they didn't have a V8 in the Corvette. That didn't happen until the end of
Right.
55.
Yep.
Which, incidentally, I found out that it was the same body style as the 53 and 54 Corvette. So actually, the 55 Corvette's my favorite Corvette. But yeah, this is cool as hell because it has an Oldsmobile Rocket 88 in it, and like what a fucking dick ton everything.
Oh,
in
God,
that
yeah.
era.
They
And
are
then-
very lightweight vehicles.
He also owns the 1954 Pontiac Bonneville Motorama, which I
What a great
don't
name.
know what the hell that is. I actually have to Google that because
That might have been the same year Motorama that this car was unveiled, the Hirohata Merc.
well, the car is called a Motorama concept car. The Hirohata Merc was actually Bob Hirohata's daily driver for
I know, but this
several years.
it was presented at a Motorama in 53 or 54.
The Pontiac Bonneville. Okay, so the Pontiac Bonneville is another C1 Corvette, but made by Pontiac.
Guy really likes C1 vets, but not C1 vets.
Yeah, C1 vets aren't C1 vets. This thing is wild. Like, imagine if George Barris tried to make a slab.
Oh no!
Oh,
Oh
the
no!
C1. It's fucking
Oh
cool.
god!
This is really cool.
George Barris is still alive in a prison, and he's being forced to design slabs.
I love it. I'm here for it. But yeah, no, this is like it's very cool. This car is going to a good home. This guy's got a good collection of 1950s American cars, and I highly recommend collecting 1950s American cars because they're depreciating very quickly.
And they will continue to
Yes.
as the boomers die off.
And by comparison, how much do you think let's say a Concours quality 1951 Mercury Club Coupe that this is based off of, how much do you think a stock one of those is worth?
$7,500.
Oh, it's worth more than that. We're talking Concours quality, the best you can get. Like
Yeah, all cars are bullshit, so I don't know.
$55,000 is
Okay.
what because this is the like E30 M3 of American hot
It
rods.
very well could be.
No, that's I'm just saying like it for people like it that as far as performance and quality, this is the
I like this one. This one's
yes,
good.
this one's very
The
good.
custom one's neat.
Yeah, the custom one's like a DTM E30 M3s.
And it's got the red handle screwdrivers in the trunk.
Yes, with
Yeah.
the red handle
It's got
screwdrivers.
all the factory accessories. It's got like the 80s Olympic ski blazer in the trunk, brand new.
Yes.
This has all that kind of crap
Yeah,
going
this is
for it.
what this is what that one is.
Yeah.
So it's a very cool car. I'm very happy to see that this still exists and that it is doing well.
It is cool. I will fully concede. I've talked, especially Ryan at work. We've talked about this over lunch on
I feel like you're gonna eventually fully appreciate American vehicles
I don't think so.
because there's a thing where
I will appreciate anything that's of excellent quality, which that car is.
yes, I think this is the thing.
You're starting
you are
with shit. When it's
you
from this
are
country.
beginning to appreciate cars not for their performance but for how dumb they are.
No, that started a long time ago. Look
Yeah.
at my collection.
Yeah, it's all cars that are perform very well.
No,
These aren't dumb cars.
they're most.
Dylan Clements is a collection of dumb
Okay,
cars.
fine.
You do not have a collection of dumb cars.
I guess.
You don't have a
I
single Nissan Stanza
True.
in your collection.
I cannot afford to have an unreliable car.
Yeah, no. So American
Which
cars
leads
are
really well into my next topic.
American cars. You're gonna eventually fully appreciate dumb cars, and you're gonna end up with a flathead something.
Someday I
someday
am
you
confident
are- yes.
I will have a flathead engine, but it will not be in an American car.
You're gonna have to get an American car because they're so much cheaper in an entire vehicle, and then I will buy the vehicle from you.
Well, maybe.
But there will be a point in your
And
life
you're
where
gonna put
you
a nailhead in it.
yes, and everybody's gonna be happy. I'm gonna have a nailhead powered Ford, and you're gonna have a Ford powered E30 M3.
Unless I put it in like a broken Model S or like a Chevy SS. Just have a flathead powered SS.
Or a Fox Body Mustang.
No, I
Which
hate,
would be
I hate
hilarious.
those.
Well, like get like an Aero body
still
kit,
don't
like
like
Celine with like no engine for some reason. And you just put a flathead in it.
I'd have
It'd
to
be
get.
beautiful.
I'm trying to think of like there's an American car that's
GMC
kind of
Cyclone.
no, because no, I couldn't do that to a Cyclone. Those are too expensive. Like Typhoons are still kind of in my budget, but I cannot even imagine the tragedy of trying to maintain something like that. A 700R4 and a 4.3 turbo from the 90s. That's not going to be a good combination of reliability. But I'm trying to think of like a rear-wheel drive platform American car that I don't hate, that isn't like $1 bajillion. And there's just
Yeah, it's very
there's
difficult
like
to find.
nothing.
It's very difficult to find.
Maybe like a second-gen C4 would be interesting, maybe with a flathead in it, but
That'd be funny. That'd be a very good one. I think any Corvette with a flathead would be perfect.
even a first-gen vet with a flathead.
You got early C1. I got a Blue Flame C1
Yep.
with a flathead. That would
actually be
good.
pretty
That'd be
period.
very cool. And it actually, you could supercharged flathead would make more power than a Blue Flame.
Yeah, but also
A little bit.
those poor 3-main bearings. I will say the superchargers for flatheads are the coolest goddamn things ever.
A McCullough supercharger is probably the greatest
It's like
thing.
triple V-belts with a 90-degree bevel drive and a centrifugal blower and
Yeah.
no intercooler. It's
And
like
a single Stromberg
Yeah.
98
Oh, yeah.
carburetor
Yeah,
on the
just-
top. So just like watching like
you hear a 350Z with a Bro Charger, all you're hearing is the bypass valve. This, it's literally you're hearing the Venturi of the carburetor
just
complaining.
blowing. That's just called blower. It's just
That's where the term came from.
it's just the sound of the Venturi.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the American cars I like most are unreliable.
It is
So-
fair. And well, the thing is, like, I didn't like American cars for the longest time until I found out like there's a lot of American cars that people don't talk about that are cool.
Yeah.
Example, specifically the only muscle car I like the 1974 GTO. It was a 1 year only. It was choked by emissions. And it had the net horsepower versus gross horsepower thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it was emissions choked. But as soon as you took off the one catalytic converter, which is all the emissions choking they did,
Wow.
and you put on a 4-barrel carburetor from a 73, you like doubled your power that you made.
Did they change the cam too?
No.
Okay, that's
They
good.
literally just threw a cat and like restricted the.
They just had it on the dyno and they kept like putting smaller and smaller restrictor plates on it.
Like, pretty much. It was basically they did.
Until
It
it
was
met.
like it was a 74, so it's like the absolute bare minimum of like emissions. And then as soon as you take that off, and then also it weighs 1,000 pounds lighter than
wow.
a actual like GTO weighed because it was based off like the Malaise era, like A body I think
When
is
they
what
went
it
to
was.
their miser shit.
Yeah, and it was like everything else was a miser based off that car. Nobody bought it, but it's the coolest muscle car, and nobody bought it. So the problem with American cars is everybody that bought them had bad taste.
Yeah, because they're all Americans.
Yeah, but there's cool American cars that exist. They're just
They're
they're in a sea of trash. There's a sea of trash.
You'd have to ask a European what a cool American car is because they've done the digging.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, actually, or ask a Japanese person, like, what are you willing to import? Like,
Yeah.
that's kind of your thing, because it's not always the very expensive car. Because, like, every Japanese person will say, like, yeah, Fioli, like, try 5. Like, okay, cool. What also would you import? Because nobody has enough money. For
Give me a
Fioli
worse
Tri-5.
answer.
Give me an answer for something that costs, like, $10,000 to $20,000, not $90,000 to $100,000.
They're... Oh, shoot. It was the later S10 version, but there was... Remember the Extreme?
Yes.
That was a weird vehicle, man.
Yes,
Those all got driven into the ground.
They
Like, that
all
would be
did,
an
and like
interesting one.
the last 3 that are left in the world are like in Japan.
But I think I'd rather have a Tacoma X-Runner, which is the same thing
Yeah.
but good.
Yes, you're right.
But I hate pickups. I'm just not into it. Anyway, talking
let's
about
move on.
unreliable American cars.
In Europe,
In Europe. This just warms my heart because all the idiotic Tesla fanboys in this country just giving Musk the virtual blowjob constantly.
speaking of such, did you hear that Piss Jugs passed 600 miles on his Segway?
No.
And he was very proud of it. I said, that's 600 whole miles of you looking like more of a douche than you normally look. And everybody haha reacted to my comment, and nobody
Why
liked
is it not in the fail feed?
Oh, I guess I could put it in the fail feed.
But
anyway,
he reacts to my post on the Minnesota Tesla group, but I don't see anything of his life otherwise. Anyway, it just warms my heart that all the issues that all of us know about in these Teslas are making 3-year-old Teslas fail TÜV inspections.
that's hilarious.
So it's all the shit that we deal with. Like, you know how rigorous TÜV is.
Yeah.
Like anything wrong with your car,
I love
inside and
TÜV.
outside, mechanically. Yeah, everything
is the
should.
best.
It is
You know why?
because they don't let anything slide.
And you know what that means?
Cars are safe.
That in also Germany, it's actually expensive to junk a car. So you can get not TÜV passing Renault Twingos for $100 there, and they
As
need
long as you export them.
and they need, yeah, as long as you don't junk them in this country of Germany, and all you can do is like put a tie rod or a sway bar in link and some tires on it. You're good. Maybe an exhaust.
Or like some sheet metal body patching. Like
not
if you got
even
a sway-
like literally
yeah.
not even that. Like it's like a sway bar link will cause you to not pass TÜV.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
So
But these-
all these Teslas aren't passing TÜV.
Yep. So it's things like the door handles breaking. On the later LED headlight Model S, you've seen them, I'm sure, where part of the LED running light goes out. Huge systemic problem. TÜV fail. Even if you don't have them on, they'll turn them on and they'll fail you for it. But there's just tons and tons of quality issues that, again, the hood latch, the front latch on these things, there's so much crap that Tesla's just gotten away with not fixing. MCU, if that won't boot, which
You're done.
it won't. Like you're not gonna get a pass. You can't turn on your I don't know, your fog lights.
They lit. When this thing is like too. It's not like bar or like for like, or not bar carb.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's actually
you're
bar.
right.
Yeah, bar.
Bar.
It's not like passing the like California like bar. That's not that hard to pass. Like
Yeah, it's
you
a
basically
sniffer and an OBD2 connector.
yeah, and that's it. And like if you don't pass it, they let you fix it. This one like if you don't pass, you have a problem. Or like it's like this and like Shaken are very similar, which is also why you see so many amazing whatever Japanese cars in America because they don't pass Shaken. And
That's why you see so many powertrains too
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
on pallets. It's just man, but it warms my heart that the only vehicles that were worse than this after 3 years of being new were Daicas,
That's amazing.
like $10,000 cars.
Yeah, good.
Oh, also I forgot Model S and X specifically, but it's been well known here forever. The air suspension cars ruin half shafts and control arms just uncontrollably.
Yeah,
they
because-
just blow through them because
Yeah.
the geometry is all fucked up.
Yeah, that
So
makes sense.
they're all failing for that too.
Also have air suspension, which things I don't trust. Tesla and air suspension.
2018 plus, they're all air suspension.
Yeah, I don't trust that. Like I don't trust air
Yeah.
suspension on a Subaru, much less a Tesla.
I mean,
Subarus are much more reliable.
the system's largely based on like the active body control, I think. No,
Yeah.
Airmatic. That's what I'm thinking of. It's largely based on Airmatic, so I mean it's as good as air suspension gets, but that's not saying anything. Air
It's as
suspension's
good as air
terrible.
suspension gets for a car that weighs 1,500 pounds less than this one does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's not as good as air suspension gets. That's as good as air suspension gets is like the air suspension in like a Peterbilt. Like that's good air suspension.
But
This
I'm
is
very
not
happy
that.
that this is coming up.
I'm thrilled
From an
about
agency,
this.
'cause, like,
I'm really happy about this.
Fix your product.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy about this, and I just like when bad things happen to Elon Musk.
Yeah, no, me too.
So
Did you see the story today about the 17-year-old that figured out how to track Elon Musk's personal
yes,
jet?
he tried to
Tried
pay him
off for
and
$5
the,
grand.
And the
It's like
17-year-old's
send me
like,
Model 3.
the 17-year-old's like, no.
Send me Model 3, 50 grand, or give me an internship were his terms.
That's great.
So anyway,
I wouldn't want the internship because that'd be awful.
yeah, but apparently he does. So
I
whatever.
wouldn't want to fucking be around Elon Musk. I'd rather be around Jeff Bezos. I
Don't worry,
like either.
we'll just leave him in space.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I think on that, that's a good bombshell to end on. We'll see you in a week.
We'll see you next week.